There's a moment during sex that holds insane power, and most people completely overlook it. It's that final build up, those few seconds right before a man finishes. His body's on edge, realize that his breath is ragged, his mind is barely holding on, and he's teetering between control and release. There and right there. In that exact moment, you have the power to do something that drives him absolutely crazy in the best possible way. You see, this moment is when his guard is all the way down. He's not thinking about performance, he's strategizing, and he's certainly not in his ego. He's in pure sensation. And because everything is heightened, touch, sound, emotion, connection, what you do right before he finishes leaves a deep mark than anything that came before. Here's the kicker: most women either miss it entirely or pull away because they think, well, it's about to be over. But the women who know, ones who understand that this final stretch is where a real emotional and sensual imprint is made, they know how to lean in, they're not back off. And that makes all the difference. In this video, I'm going to show you the 6 specific things you do right before he finishes that make the moment unforgettable for him and deeply satisfying for both of you. These aren't just sexy moves, they're emotional amplifiers. They create connection, closeness, and a level of intimacy that will have him thinking about you long after the lights are out. So if you're ready to become the woman he can't get out of his head, even after he's come down from his high, let's get into it. There's something unbelievably intimate about a whisper. They're not a scream, just that soft, breathy voice that hits his ear right when everything in him is starting to lose control. And here's the truth. When a woman whispers the right thing in that final moment before a man finishes, it can drive him completely over the edge, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and energetically. That last moment right before he finishes is the most vulnerable window in the male experience of sex. His mind is overwhelmed, his body is hypersensitive, and his emotional walls are down. He's not in control anymore. That's not moment technique. It's a moment for presence. And what you say in that exact moment can anchor him deeply in the experience. Realize that you're not just part of the moment, you're the voice inside it. Now, the magic lies in what you whisper. It has to feel real. It has to feel raw. Something as simple as, I want to feel all of you, or don't hold back, or even I love the way you're taking me right now, can completely tip him over the edge in the most unforgettable way. But it tells him this isn't just physical, this is emotional. I want all of this. I want all of you. And that is what makes it unforgettable. The tone matters too. You don't need to be theatrical. You don't need a sexy script. Just say it low, close, and with full intention. Let your breath graze his ear. Let him feel the softness of your voice and the meaning behind it. Realize that it'll hit differently because it's not about the words alone. It's the moment you choose to say them. It's that vulnerable timing that they make land right in the center of his pleasure and his emotion. Why does this work so well? Because men aren't used to being spoken to like that in those final seconds. Most people focus on their own climax or disconnect slightly as it approaches. But when you stay connected, when you lean in and speak into that space, it tells him you're still right there with him, not judging, not performing, just with him, present. Connected, realize they're wanting him. And here's what happens afterward the next time he thinks of you, whether he's at work in the shower, there, or lying in bed at night. He's going to remember your voice in that moment. He's going to replay what you said, how you said it, what you made him feel. And that memory won't fade. Realize that because you didn't just give him pleasure, you gave him presence, you gave him emotional stimulation at the exact moment his heart and body were wide open there. So if you want of him completely undone, not just during sex, but every time he thinks of you after, use your voice, whisper something real, something raw there, and something he'll never expect, and watch what happens. Lock eyes and hold the gaze in those final few seconds before a man finishes. The entire world narrows down to sensation. His thoughts are gone. His breath is shallow and his body is right on the edge. He's in that in-between space where everything is feeling and instinct. That's when most people check out. Either they close their eyes, turn their head, or drift inward. But if you really want to create a moment he'll never forget, you do the opposite. You look straight into his eyes and you hold it. Eye contact is one of the most emotionally exposing things you can do during sex. But right before he finishes, realize that it's like throwing gasoline on the fire in the best way possible, because it's not just about watching him, it's about being with him fully. When you lock eyes in that moment, you're saying, I'm not going anywhere. I want to be right here with you in this. That's rare. That's powerful. and that blows his mind. Most men are used to physical intensity. Not used to is emotional presence during that intensity. When you look him in the eyes during that moment of surrender, realize that you're doing something that bypasses his body and goes straight to his heart. You're giving him permission to be seen, to be vulnerable, realize that there, and to be wanted in the middle of one of his most overwhelming moments. Here's what's even crazier. The connection created in that 1 second of eye contact will often last longer than the sex itself. It stays with him. Because it wasn't just about how it felt. It was about how deeply connected he felt to you. He'll remember your eyes, the way they softened, or maybe how they dared him to lose control. He'll remember the emotional intensity, not just the physical one. And that creates an imprint no technique ever could. And if you want to take it even further, pair that gaze with a slight smile or even just an inhale that matches his breath, subtle but intentional. It's like you're grounding him while everything else in him is floating. You become his anchor in a moment that usually feels like he's letting go. That's safety, that intimacy. That's what gets him addicted. Not to sex in general, but to sex with you. And don't worry about whether it feels too intense. That's the point. Most people are terrified of true intimacy in the bedroom, but if you're bold enough to hold the moment, to hold the gaze there and to see him while he's coming undone, that changes the game. He won't just crave release with you. He'll crave that connection. He'll crave you. Say his name softly there, or you're like you own it. There's something so simply and yet so powerful about hearing your own name in the heat of the moment. And when a woman says a man's name right before he finishes, it hits different. It's not just about the sound, it's about the meaning. Because when you say his name, especially in that exact moment, you're not just acknowledging what's happening. You're acknowledging him. You're telling him, I see you, I feel you, I want you. Not some fantasy role, just him, raw, real, vulnerable, and on the edge of losing control. And when a man hears his name at the height of pleasure, it doesn't just stimulate his body, it grounds his identity in your desire. It tells him there, you're not just doing this right, you are exactly who I want right now. And how you say it matters. Sometimes it's a soft whisper, barely there, almost like a moan caught in your breath. Other times it's with intensity, purpose, like you're owning the moment, like you're calling him into the center of your attention. Both ways are powerful. One says, I'm so overwhelmed by you, I can barely speak. The other says, you're mine right now and I want you to know it. Either way, realize that you're making the moment personal. And men crave that. Most guys go through life being seen for not who they are. But when he's in your arms and you say his name during the peak of intimacy, it speaks to something deeper than ego. It touches his core. It turns an orgasm into a moment of recognition, a feeling of being desired in a way that has nothing to do with performance and everything to do with connection. And here's the kicker. Most women don't do this. They think it's awkward or they just get caught up in the moment and forget. But when you lean in and say his name, you're separate from every other experience he's had. Because now he's not just another guy having sex. He's your man right here, right now, being called into the moment with nothing but your voice. It's primal. It's emotional. It's intimate and it lingers. After everything's over, he'll remember the way you said it, the tone, the need in it. The invitation, it becomes part of the soundtrack in his head when he thinks of you. And trust me, he will think of you. So the next time you're right there with him and you feel that wave building, don't just feel it, say it. Say his name. Realize that say it like you want more than his body. Say it like you're letting him all the way in, because that's he'll remember. Not just that he finished, but who he finished with and the sound of her voice saying his name at the moment he gave into it all. Grab him firmly, not just gently. There's a time for soft and sweet, and then there's a time for grip. And let me tell you, right before a man finishes, realize that when he's spiraling toward that edge, one of the sexiest, most powerful things you can do is grab him firmly, not to take control over him, but to anchor him in the moment. There, to let him feel your presence, not just around him emotionally, but physically. When a woman grips a man right before climax, whether it's his back, his arms, his hips, his neck, or even pulling him deeper in her, it sends a message that's louder than words. It says, I want this, I want you, I want every inch, and I'm not letting go. You see, men are so used to being the ones who are in control. They're taught to lead, to dominate, to impress. But when they're right at the edge, what they really want often without even realizing it, is to be taken, to be claimed in a way that feels primal, passionate, and completely real. Your firm touch in that moment becomes the thing that pulls him out of his head and deeper into his body and into you. There's nothing complicated about it. It could be your hands clutching his lower back. It could be your thighs tightening around him, your nails pressing gently into his shoulder blades. It could even be your arms wrapped tightly around his waist or his neck, pulling him down into you like you can't get enough. That physical grip becomes symbolic. It's not just, I like this. It's, I'm in this. I'm not letting this moment slip by unnoticed. And the best part, this kind of firm touch doesn't just feel good. It also helps him last longer because it slows down his rhythm, reconnects him to the moment, and reminds him he's not alone in this experience. You're right there with him, leading the intensity, not just reacting to it. That's magnetic. That's unforgettable. This also taps into something even deeper. Men are always shown that they're wanted. They're often pursued for what they can provide, how they can perform, or what they can do. But when you grab him with that mix of passion and presence, you're telling him he's wanted for his rawness, his energy, his realness. That's the kind of desire that doesn't just turn him on. It moves him. It sticks with him. So the next time he's getting close, don't just lay there passively. Let your body speak for you. Show him with your hands, your arms, your legs that you're right there, gripping, holding, claiming that moment, not softly asking for permission, but confidently saying yes to it. That physical touch becomes emotional memory, and it makes him associate the most powerful moment of release with the feeling of being completely wanted by you. Moan like you can't help it. There's a difference between a sound that's made and a sound that escapes. And when it comes to moaning, especially right before a man finishes, that difference is everything, because a moan that feels unrehearsed, like it just pours out of you because the pleasure is too real to hold in, that is what drives him absolutely insane. Here's the truth, men don't just want sex to feel good for them. They want proof, undeniable proof, that it feels good for you. They want to hear it. They want to feel that you're into it, not because you're trying to please him, but because you're actually losing yourself in the moment. And nothing communicates that better than a moan that comes from deep in your body, completely unfiltered. This doesn't mean you have to be loud or theatrical. In fact, the most powerful sounds are usually the most honest. The soft gasp you let out as he thrusts deeper. The shaky breath as you get closer, that low moan in his ear that makes it sound like you can barely contain yourself. It doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be real. Right before a man finishes, his mind is already overloaded with sensation. His body is barely holding on. When he hears you moan in a way that sounds raw and uncontrollable, it pushes him over the edge. Because in that moment, it feels like he's not just inside your body, he's inside your pleasure. He's causing it, he's creating it. And for a man, it's incredibly validating. Here's the part most people miss. Your moans aren't just a physical response. They're a psychological trigger. They become part of the memory. Later, when he's lying in bed, when he's thinking about that night, when he wants you again, that's what replays in his mind. That sound, that soft, involuntary whimper, that exhale that said everything words couldn't. And the more natural and unfiltered it is, the more powerful the effect. Because now he's not just remembering sex, he's remembering your surrender, that moment you couldn't hide how good it felt. And that makes him want to recreate it again and again. It also creates safety. When a man hears you fully expressing yourself, it tells him he's allowed to do the same. It gives him permission to feel, to let go, to experience you emotionally, not just physically. That kind of openness makes him crave you, not just sexually, but emotionally too. So next time you're together and you feel yourself getting lost in the moment, don't hold it in. Let it out. Moan like your body is leading the conversation. Moan like you're too turned on to fake it or control it. Because when your moan feels real, he doesn't just finish, he remembers. Wrap around him like you're pulling him into you at the very edge of climax. There's one thing that can take a man from simple release to emotional eruption, and that's your full body closeness. I'm talking about those last few seconds where you wrap around him like you never want to let go. Your legs pulling him deeper, your arms clinging to his back, your body saying, I want all of you right now. That physical gesture, simple as it sounds, can unlock something truly primal in him. Because here's what most people don't realize. The climax for a man isn't just a physical finish line. It's a moment of surrender. It's a split second where his ego drops, his defenses melt, and he gives in to something bigger than himself. And in that exact moment, if your body is wrapped around if he feels you pulling him closer rather than letting go, that surrender becomes shared. He's not climaxing alone. He's climaxing with you. And that makes all the difference. This doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as subtle as wrapping your legs around his waist tighter, pulling him into your chest, or locking your ankles behind his back. It could be your arms grabbing his shoulders, clutching him as though the connection is too intense to let him drift even an inch away. It's that instinctive pull we all feel when something matters. When we want to hold it, keep it, claim it. What it does is anchor him, not just physically, but emotionally. Because most people start to relax or release the moment climax approaches. But when you tighten, when you show you're still holding on and feeling every last second of him, it sends a message that goes way beyond sex. It says, I'm here. I want you. And I'm not letting go until this moment has given us everything. For him, it turns a release into a memory, into a connection, into you. And after, he'll remember how safe he felt, how enveloped, how wanted. Because that physical closeness isn't just hot, it's comforting. It tells him he's not just a body you're enjoying, he's someone you're letting all the way in, physically, emotionally, energetically. That's what men crave more than they even know how to ask for. This is what creates addiction, not to sex, but to you, to your presence, to your emotional confidence, to the way you hold him in the moment he needs it most. So the next time he's right there, trembling and undone, don't back off, don't detach. Pull him in, hold him, wrap yourself around him like his body belongs with yours. Let him finish inside that closeness, inside that trust, because that's what leaves a mark long after the moment fades. And that's what brings him back again and again. There's a reason men never forget certain lovers. And it's not just about what happens in bed, it's about what happens in those final few seconds before they finish. That's the moment when everything is heightened emotionally, physically, and psychologically. If you know how to lean in rather than fade out, that's where the real magic happens. In this video, we uncovered the 6 most powerful things you can do right before he finishes, the things that create emotional imprint, not just physical pleasure. Whisper something unexpected in his ear, the right words in the right tone, can embed you in his memory forever. Lock eyes and hold the gaze, make him feel seen in the most vulnerable second of his pleasure. Say his name softly, or like you own it, personalize the climax and awaken a sense of being wanted. Grab him firmly, not just gently anchor him with a passionate grip that says, I want all of this. Moan like you can't help it. Let your body speak what your mouth doesn't. Raw, real, and unforgettable. Wrap around him like you're pulling him into you. End with closeness, not distance. Turn climax into connection. These moves aren't tricks. They're tools of intimacy. They turn a fleeting moment into one that sticks with him, one he'll compare every future experience to. When you combine confidence with vulnerability, sensuality with presence, you become the one he can't stop thinking about. Tell me in the comments which of these are you excited to try first, or which one do you already know works like magic? If this opened your eyes to a whole new level of connection, hit IK Subia Scrub it and tap the bell icon so you never miss the kind of advice that actually changes your love life. Because remember, anyone can turn him on, but not everyone knows how to reach him where it matters most. You do now.